everybody, welcome back. Got another fun little watch for you here. This is a cheap watch, so it may not be what everyone's looking for, but I saw it, I thought it was cool. I've seen a bunch of these on like Instagram and people advertising ones that look similar to this. So I figured let me grab one and see what they're all about. The brand here is Saloa, I believe that's how you pronounce that. Designed from Paris. I think that's probably not correct because this is a $40 watch from AliExpress. But we'll take that with a grain of salt. That's not what I'm expecting. I don't look for some French fancy brand here. I'm sure you've seen this all over Instagram and stuff. They're these kind of weird Art Deco style watches. It's a chronograph. There's really no branding on the face. We'll dive into that a little closer in a second, but I've seen these all over the internet lately, and I was like, all right, I gotta grab one and see if I like it. There's a ton of different colorways, but let's get a closer look on this watch in general, see what it's all about, and see, are these worth 40 bucks? I think it's gonna be hard to beat a watch for $40. That looks kind of cool, but let's find out. So taking a closer look here at the face, you can see it's very plain. There's no logos or anything on it. It is a simple chronograph. You have a date window down here between 4 and 5 p.m. You have a second chronograph hand and then the minutes there. So if you start it, it just does nice little, not smooth moving, but you can see every second it clicks over like a quartz watch would do. That minute hand though, I'm not going to show you and bore you guys, but it does slowly move. It doesn't click over right at the 1 minute. It will slowly get itself there. So it is kind of sweeping. Not really. Another cool thing to note here as I reset it, it does reset very nicely though, is you have this kind of light blue around the outside, teal almost, and then you have a little lime green down here at the 5 to 7 p.m. range. Really cool. That the colors here are what I find interesting. You got black minute and hour hands with this kind of orange tip. It's really kind of half of it. It's not really a tip, but there is some lume in there. We'll do a lume check shortly. I think the lume will probably be adequate. Nothing crazy. Other than that, it's a very simple watch. Doesn't really say much on it. It is a quartz movement. We'll get into kind of the specifications on that here in a second. But yeah, the face itself is, I think it's cool. It's different. You know, like I said, I've seen a lot of them on the internet at the moment and a lot of people pushing watches with this design. But this design in general is different. It's something that I don't see on a lot of wrists, so I do think it's kind of cool. It reminds me of like a 1950s, 1960s television. Let me know if you guys get that same kind of vibe, but yeah, it's really kind of cool. So jumping into some of the specifications of this watch, it does just say it is a Japanese quartz movement. That's fine with me. I don't need to know the exact kind of movement, but if you want to know, I'm sure it displays it somewhere on their website, but it's very difficult to see off the AliExpress listing. It does mention that the dial diameter is right around 44 millimeters, but the inner face itself, it says the dial diameter is 36 millimeters. So there's kind of a range here. Maybe I'll grab my calipers in a second and take a look at that, but it does say the dial thickness is 11 millimeters. That looks about right. The watch weight is about 120 grams, and this bracelet is very similar to like the old school Casios, to the 158. You just kind of use a screwdriver and you pop it up and you slide it to where you want, and then it just clicks over. You pop it over there like that, and then it clicks down. I'll show you when I put it on my wrist in a little bit, but very similar to that Casio style, very vintagey kind of 70s, 80s style bracelet. Other than that, there's not really much else to talk about the watch itself. It's just a very simple, it says it's a 30-meter waterproof watch. It doesn't screw down, so I don't know if you should swim with it, but for $40, you're not going to hurt it. You can get another one if you need to. It does say that the crystal is hardlex, which is nice. That should be fairly resistant to scratches. Other than that, it's just a very simple watch. The actual model number of this is the 503B. Reminds me of a tax form that you would need to fill out. But other than that, it's just a very simple watch. So let's throw this on the wrist and see how it looks. So now putting it on, like I was telling you, you take it. It's very simple. You got that clasp there. You first hook the inner clasp in, that attaches it, and then it locks down with a push like that, just like those Casios do. On the wrist, it's pretty cool. I think it's a different design. I'm not really used to square style watches. I do love the Aquanaut, which does have a little bit of a square design to it, but not like this. It's very kind of broad shoulders connecting the case to the band. Some people may not like that. I don't particularly love it. You guys know I really love a nice taper in a bracelet. This has a little, doesn't do a ton here, but it's pretty good looking on the wrist. I can't really say much about it because it is very simple. It's very plain, but for $40, it's got a cool vibe, and I dig that. And I think it's kind of a conversation starter, and we'll get that into a second. But I'm going to pop it off. I'm going to put the calipers on it, see what the actual numbers are here, and then we'll go from there. All right, now diving in here with the calipers, we'll zero these out quickly. Okay, so it's nowhere near 44 millimeters. It is a 38, which is interesting. 11 thick is correct, so that's fine. Bracelet starts at right around 24, tapers down to 20. It's very simple, not bad. Lug to lug, we're looking at probably, is that what they actually meant to say, 44? Yeah, that's about 44. Right there, 46. So yeah, this watch is definitely a little bit larger than they say on their website, on the AliExpress listing. I don't think it really matters. You saw it on my wrist. You know from watching these videos how these watches look on my wrist. But let's get into some final notes on this. Actually, you know what we have to do? We have to test the Lume. Here we are firing up that Lume a little bit. Let's see how we do with it. Just using a little blacklight pen. These give you the best results. You could use just a flashlight, but these UV blacklights give you a really good Lume. Yeah, it's not bad. It's very interesting. You do get the minute and hour hand, which is nice. There's nothing on the second hand, so I mean, nothing to expect of that. But the Lume on the watch is actually quite nice. It looks a little brighter on camera than it does in person, but it doesn't leave anything to be desired for a watch that costs $40. So final impressions of the $40 Soloa. It's obviously not a design from Paris. I don't think that's true. This is a cheap Chinese-made watch, but I do think it is cool. For $40, I know I've said this 35,000 times in this video, I don't think you're going to be pissed off about spending $40 on this. If you can find it elsewhere, do it. I've seen these, like I said, on Instagram of people selling, and obviously they're like resellers who are marking it up, and they're selling these up to $80 to $100. So what they're doing is probably drop shipping or doing any other combination of what sketchy Instagram marketers like to do and sell them for higher prices. But that's probably why these are also unbranded on the face, so no one really knows who they're coming from. But if you're buying these right from AliExpress, and I believe if you're in the US, this is tariff-free. They have a whole section there on AliExpress now that says US shipping. I got this in right about a week. It was perfect. It wasn't part of the 11/11 sale. I did it prior to that. They're $40 right now. I don't think I paid right around that, actually, so they're not really on sale, but they're a total good deal. I'll put the link down below. I don't know how long that link will work. As always, they disappear often, but for $40, this is a cool watch. I think you'll enjoy it. And it's got that cool bracelet like a vintage Timex, Casio, whatever you want to call them. My final opinion here is it's a cool watch. Definitely get one. Check it out. And people are going to ask you, hey, what's that you're wearing? And you'll be able to tell them, I don't know. It's some weird watch I got from China.